Yes, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Chopping It Up with Charms. I'm back again, and guess what? It's the transfer window, so we've got an awful lot to talk about, and it's all transfer related. We'll go into the Chelsea transfer topics with about 5 minutes left to go, but there's a lot going on at the minute, yeah? Particularly attaining to clubs in blue, like Everton, who are going to see Sean Dyche out the door. Now, this is a weird one, isn't it? Because I think Sean Dyche has done a solid job since he's been at Everton. I think maybe he should be given a little bit more of a grace period. But I understand that the results aren't necessarily what the Everton fans want or expect, which I don't know about. They should be relatively accustomed to not winning much. I could just get a general sense of frustration that they'd rather win Tin Pot Cups and be involved in nothing tournaments because it's better than coming 17th and 16th every season and playing an uninspiring brand of football. If you're going to talk about English and uninspiring brands of football in the same breath, I think Sean Dyche is probably the first person that comes to people's mind. It's not revolutionary. It's not Barcelona tiki-taka, free-flowing football. It's very rigid. It's very boring. But then you look at Nottingham Forest and you can argue the same thing. I mean, they spend the least time on the league, on the ball, outside of Sean Dyche, if I'm not mistaken. And they make it work. I mean, they're third at the minute. They're probably the only real title contenders outside of Arsenal. And they have a genuine threat to win the belt. Win the league. They have a genuine threat to win the league. And you know, that it's not necessarily about the style of football they play. I mean, they're doing a very similar thing to what Everton are. It's just they're executing it well. They've got the players in order to do it. They've got a striker, they've got a youth all around the pitch, and they're allowed to play that free-flowing football. Where Everton are just too rigid, too blocky, too low block, too ready to accept a press. And I can understand the frustration. I just think that after keeping Everton up and doing what he has done, signing the players that he has, I think that, the fact that they won 2-0 yesterday and now we're talking about removing their manager, it's just a good way to upheave the club into chaos. Now, people are talking about David Moyes. I think that's a good replacement. I think if you're going to get rid of Sean Dyche, I think you need someone that's going to care about the club and play, maybe a little bit more, not Ange kamikaze football, don't defend, just attack. But definitely something different. And David Moyes offers that. He offers something a bit more fresh, something that they've seen before, but it's definitely more engaging than a Sean Dyche football. It's definitely more midfield orientated at the very least. And I think that, any hate on the move to Manchester United is unwarranted. I mean, listen, Sir Alex Ferguson does what he does for 20 years. He comes knocking on your door. Do you want to be my successor? I think anyone in the world saying yes to that. I find it difficult why Everton fans would think that would have been a snaky thing to do or a bad move, or because I've seen it when people have said that he went behind the club's back to sign a pre-agreement with a rival club, which, listen, I can hear to some degree, but with all the context, it's unfair to not let the man make the move like that. It would be unfair to hold him at a club like Everton and just expect him to do more. When he had done whatever he could, he had taken you guys to the top 6, top 8 of the Premier League. He made you guys look like a sharp side when you hadn't really looked like that in years. He gave a genuine competitive rivalry between Everton and Liverpool for what it seemed like 2 seasons. And it's better than none. And he goes to United. Obviously, what happens. It's not ideal for him. But if it had gone well, I don't think the Everton fans would be talking about him as a snake, to be honest. I think they would be happy to have him back after everything was said and done. The one that has also been relatively on the back burner is Jose Mourinho. And I think that out of all the suitors, obviously I understand that there is bias being a Chelsea fan and my undying love for Jose Mourinho. He will be with me to the day I kill. But I think that's a great man. He's not just a survivalist. He's a winner. He's a natural-born winner, and he's won games and he's won tournaments when he shouldn't have with 4 or 5 different clubs. He's shown time and time again he can do it. Obviously, his stint at Man United, came second in the Premier League. His stint at Tottenham wasn't amazing. It's Tottenham, you know what I mean? It's not going to be amazing. I think that with Everton, he would do good things. I think that he would take them to a place where by the time he had left, they'd be better than when he had arrived. And I don't think many managers would be able to say that about a club like Everton, who is so easy to just combust, to just blow up on itself. Next, going actually into the transfer windows, we're talking Man City to get started. And they want to sign 2 players. One of them being Marmoush, a striker from Eintracht Frankfurt. Very, very good young player. 18 goals, I do believe, second to Harry Kane. They need some support for Erling Haaland. He hasn't been able to bag them like he's been. They need someone up top. They need someone with him. Even if they've got to play 2, if they've got to play just one of them. Listen, if they can poach the guy who's second to Harry Kane in the German league, he's shown pace, he's shown finishing, he's strong. They got rid of Julian Alvarez. They haven't really replaced him. We've seen less and less of Oscar Bob this season. I think there's a reason for that. So I think Marmoush is a good signing, to be honest. I think that he's one that they need, but I don't think they need a striker anywhere near as they need a centre-back, which they're also looking at, which is the second of the 2. It's Victor Reis that's being spoken about from Palmeiras. He's centre-back, about 18 years old. They're looking in the 34 to 40 million sort of euro, I think it is, price range. But that is a lot of money for a young, unproven centre-back. I know that these kids coming out of the Brazilian league, sometimes they just walk into their roles and they look fantastic. But that is usually when they've been touted to just be well wise beyond their years. And from what I've heard and from what this is being said about Victor Reis, he's not ready for the Premier League. It's just too high of a jump. I mean, it's the highest level in the world, other than maybe Champions League football, where you play Premier League teams regularly. So I would argue that the Premier League is the hardest league in the world, and to be going from Palmeiras to be defending Mo Salah in the space of 3 weeks, it's going to be very difficult. I do like it as a move, but I think it's something that's got to be looked at, if now, as something that they implement next season or the season afterwards. I don't think it's an immediate buy-in and just get them in. It's not like they bought in a Josko Guardiola or Jonathan Tah or something of that ilk, where there's, like an old player there who knows and been around the block and he can just slot straight into his level. This is an 18-year-old kid. He's going to need a development plan around him. And I think that, Man City, especially with where they are at the minute, I think they can afford to just take this season off and just work on a couple of project players. And I think that if they do end up going for a Victor Reis, I reckon that will be one of the players that they will put a lot of their financial and just mental time into, to be honest. Just put quite a bit of focus on getting him in and getting him ready for the 25-6 season. Now, something that you're probably here for, Chelsea transfers. Quite a few of them to go over, to be honest. A lot more than I would be expecting in the first week of January. But Chelsea this morning rejected a bid for Renato Vega. I can understand it. Well, he's not a player that I've been setting Stamford Bridge alight. He's not fantastic, but he's very, very utilitarian. He can play left back, right back primarily. He can play in a 6. He can play centre back. So I think it's a good player to have in at the club, particularly with the lack of depth in those defensive positions. Obviously, in the 6. We'll speak about another one in a second. We've got plenty of those. But down the back line, I reckon Enzo Maresca's got plans for Renato Vega to be playing relatively fleetingly over the next couple of seasons, but playing nonetheless. On that note, talking in the 6, Cesare Casadei is wanted by Torino. Great club for him. Fantastic. They'll give him the time of day. Italian, going back to his roots. But I really like Cesare Casadei, and I think he has got a future at Stamford Bridge. I think that it's difficult breaking into the squad with Enzo and Caicedo kind of holding it down. But Enzo ultimately can move into that 8, which opens up a position which Lavia has learned to kind of hold down. He's looked fantastic doing it as well. But I see a world where Cesare Casadei can oust Lavia to that. I genuinely do. I think that there is a world where Casadei can outperform him. The passing range is second to none. He looks wise beyond his years. He's only 19 years old. Super impressive on the ball. But what would happen if Kobe Mainu came into the fold? Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? He'd probably deputise immediately in at the 6 with Caicedo and have Enzo play in the 8 with Palmer just in front. I would love that. I think that that's ideal. Kobbie Mainoo's an absolutely fantastic football player. And he, the word generational was being thrown around him around his time in the Euros. He had a stellar tournament, and I think that he would continue to do so. He just seems like the perfect player for United. Now, the once irremovable Ronald Araujo is now apparently in talks to join Juve, which is something I think Chelsea need to jump in on. We need to jump in on this. This is a player that Dan's been calling for, I've been calling for, Chelsea fans all over the globe have been calling for. We need a centre-back. We need an experienced centre-back. So why not poach Barcelona's starting centre-back? I think that would be ideal. I think that he's fantastic, he's strong, he's young, and he needs a test in the Premier League. And what side better for it than historically the most defensively successive side in the league, which is Chelsea. Well, that's everything this week. So many topics. I want to just keep going. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, all of that. Hit the notification bell. Don't know what that does, but just fucking smash it. God bless. Take care. Charms. Bye. Out.